Shares of Inflection rose by double digits in their first day of trade on Tuesday, the latest sign of how quantum is gaining momentum across markets. As the company makes its way toward that opening bell podium, I do want to send things over to NYSE content creator Ashley Masternardi, who's standing by with more. Ashley, good morning.
Good morning, Kristen. One quantum expert says that Inflection going public on the New York Stock Exchange is a win for the entire industry. Joining me now is Matt Cimaglia, founder and managing partner of Quantum Coast Capital. Matt, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashley.
So with Inflection now trading on the NYSE, attention is turning to quantum technology. And for viewers at home, what does this technology actually do?
Well, I mean, first I want to point out what you just said a second ago, which is, rising tides lift all boats. So I think that Inflection going public obviously is really great for the entire quantum economy because it's going to bring more exposure to the entire market. And to get into quantum and kind of what it is, to give you a simple analogy, if you will, let's say that you're trying to look for a single book and there are hundreds of thousands of books in front of you. It would take a classical computer in this instance going through book by book by book to try and find that singular book that you're looking for. When you're talking about quantum in its sort of crazy spooky form, it's going out and it's multiplying you out hundreds of thousands of times. You can find that book in an instant and you immediately know what the answer is. So that just kind of gives you a rough estimate on how quantum computing works versus classical computing.
And how else, Matt, is quantum computing different from the computers we use today? And should people expect it to replace their home computer?
Well, I think that the amazing thing that we live in right now is an era of quantum computing in the cloud. So we are not going to necessarily have an iPhone or something that's going to be on our desks that's a quantum computer, but we're going to have access to it. One of the things that I actually will point out is the fact that you and I have probably used quantum computers more than we know it, or quantum technology, I should say, because every ATM machine has an atomic clock that's syncing with the GPS systems that are out there, and that actually is quantum. So there are different facets of quantum technology that I think don't get talked about enough, and Inflection is a really great example of this, where they're looking at the full stack of quantum technologies, not just compute.
And how else, Matt, does Inflection differ from other NYSE-listed quantum companies?
Yeah, I mean, like when you look at what they're doing in the sensing arena, there's a couple other companies that are doing this as well, in terms of that full stack. And I think that what they're going for is a different modality. So when you look at their quantum computer itself, it's neutral atoms, which is very different from, let's say, ion trapped or a gate model or even annealing.
All right, and can you briefly explain the different approaches to quantum computing?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that you're going to have very specific problems thrown at different types of systems in quantum. So I wouldn't necessarily say that one is necessarily going to be better than another. They're just very different in their way that they're processing this data. We're looking at chemical discovery or drug discovery and material sciences. There are going to be different systems that handle these types of equations better than others. But again, it's kind of whatever the problem is that you're going to throw at it. I also want to point out the fact that there's this hybrid of high performance computers or GPUs and AI plus quantum computers. And that's really sort of this holy trinity, if you will, when we're starting to talk about the future of compute and being able to solve some of the world's most complex problems.
And Matt, do you think we're going to talk about quantum one day as much as we're talking about AI now?
Yeah, I think that, even in the next year, we're going to see it a lot more in the vernacular. We've already seen it in the last 2 years, more specifically, going from the lab and now it's out into commercialization. And as you're seeing with Inflection and some of the other companies that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, these are real commercial products. These are elements that not only government but big business are starting to buy and purchase and pay attention to. This year happens to be the year of quantum security. So YQS 2026. And what I want to stress there is this whole notion of harvest now, decrypt later. So even if we're not having a commercially viable quantum computer for another 2 years or 3 years, it's really important for us to now focus on protecting our information so that in the next couple of years, it's not decrypted by harmful actors.
All right, Matt Cimaglia, founder and managing partner of Quantum Coast Capital. Thank you for joining us on NYSE Live.
Thank you so much.
Kristen, I'm going to send things back to you in Studio One.